What's up, guys? It's me, your girl CatCorelli, and this is episode 288 of my Cat Vibe series. Today we're painting Dusk in May, around here in Jeffersonville. Jeffersonville is a small, I can't even call it a village. It's so small. I think it's kind of a village, but it's definitely not a town. That's not what you call a town where I come from. Where I come from, a town is a town. Like Moscow, for example. That's a town. That's a city. This is not a town. This is a small little village. And yeah, I'm using a bristle brush to begin with. First, I was using a cheap-ass one. A really cheap dollar bristle brush, which I love to use nowadays for these large areas. As I'm starting with some sort of underpainting, sometimes I pick a tone which is kind of omnipotent throughout the painting, kind of like an omnichord in music, you know what I mean? It might be a mixture of burnt sienna and Prussian blue, or it might be burnt umber with ultramarine blue, something like this, a mixture like this, a wash, diluted heavily with oil and Gamsol, and then I kind of draw, you know, the outline and the structure and that kind of thing. Sometimes I start there, but for the most part, you see what I'm doing. I'm using a cheap-ass bristle brush to layer in the tones in larger areas, especially things like the sky or the water. And yes, I have this habit of holding the brush in my mouth when I'm doing something, because apparently putting the brush aside is not an option. And I'm starting fairly thin here. Lots of medium, lots of oil and Gamsol mixed. This is a view from the back of this property, looking onto the hills. And the thing that particularly captivated me here in this scene is the sky, for the most part. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunset, and I wanted to capture it. For the longest time, I think, in a lot of videos, I kept saying, I still can't get used to this and that. I still can't get used to this and that. I still can't get used to how small things are around here. I still can't get used to there's no transport. I still can't get used to, you know, this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I stopped saying this because I think I finally came to the conclusion that I'm not going to get used to any of this. I don't want to get used to any of this. There's the reference photo, by the way, on the top of the screen. I'm actually painting something between the reference photo, the one that I printed out, and the reference that I simultaneously have pulled up on my smartphone, on my old smartphone, because the colors differ quite dramatically on the two, so I'm painting something in between. And deliberately disposing of some details and twisting and bending the reference, and, you know, to meet my own needs, basically. About getting used to things. I know there's this whole thing about like, oh, you know, you're supposed to get used to this, you're supposed to get used to that, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Like, settle down, calm down already, and get used to this and that. Like, no. Over the course of this past year, I think I've done a lot of internal work in a lot of ways. And all in all, I think I've changed dramatically in the past 5 years. The person that arrived here to the United States and started living here in Jeffersonville, that girl, that CatCorelli who was wearing that pink hoodie, which I'm wearing here, by the way, that person is dead. And I am glad that I've managed to let go, finally. That person is gone. With everything that that person entailed. That me is gone. And I think now I'm a new person. And I'm looking forward to a future that is very different from these 5 years. I think it's going to be an exciting future. I think I will spend it where I want to spend it and the way I want to spend it. It's going to be super exciting. I don't know if I will have time to record videos. 2 years from now, I don't want to think about it because, things go the way they go, and if I have time, I think I will be sharing that. In whichever case, I will be sharing my art, be that music or painting. I think oil painting is here to stay. I think a little further down the road, I want to expand into acrylics as well. And I want to also, specifically for acrylics, I kind of feel that abstract painting in oils, it feels kind of weird. I want to use acrylics for that. Oils, I think oils is for different stuff. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm biased. I have no idea. I know many artists do things interchangeably. They paint, abstract art in oils and in acrylics, and then more traditional art, be that impressionism or realism or something like that, in oils and acrylics as well. I don't know. I personally feel that acrylics would go very well with something more abstract. Maybe it's just me. I'm yet to feel that medium. So far, I really enjoy oils, and one of the reasons why I enjoy them so much is because the drying time is slow. Yes, occasionally I speed up the drying process because I'm adding Gamsol. Sometimes I add more, and sometimes I add less. I think the kind of formula that I'm sticking with a lot nowadays, I think I like that proportion, is instead of having a 1-to-1 mixture of linseed oil and Gamsol, I do a 3 oil to 1 Gamsol. Or I'm using stand oil also, closer to the end, to the top layers. But, anyway, it doesn't dry right away, and I like it because then, if I'm having a really short session in the evening and I don't have time to paint more, I can quickly layer in things and keep them wet and then come back next day when I wake up. And if I don't have anything else in my way, I can jump right into painting, and the painting is still wet, still moist. It's not freshly wet oil paint, but it's still wet. So that allows me to kind of blend things in. But one of the things that I find absolutely just gorgeous about oil painting is that I can paint wet into wet, and this feels so good. The blending, the versatility of this medium is amazing. And when I'm done with a layer, I can then step aside for a day and then come back, and it's going to be almost dry, and then I can start painting on top and still blending in a little bit. You know what I mean? So oils is a wonderful medium. I love it. But as far as abstract art, I think I want to get into that because I have a whole bunch of ideas, but I just feel that it calls for acrylics, in my opinion. I want to do that. One other thing that I'm going to explore very soon is frame making. So far I've been doing just rustic, simple, floating frames, but I want to go beyond that and make my own baguette frames. But that's a topic for another video. I think I might expand on that a little later. So happy 4th of July for those of you who are in the United States. For everybody else, thank you for being with me. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for being with me. Thanks for your comments. If you like my content, share it. I have an Etsy store. The link is in the description. If you want to purchase one of my paintings, reach out to me personally if you don't see it in the Etsy store yet. And you will hear me in the next episode. Ciao.